They thought bringing him home would fill the silence. But the silence only grew louder. It started on a cold October night. Rachel watched from the passenger seat, her hands nervously twisting the strap of her handbag. Thomas was driving, focused, calm. They didn't speak much, just exchanged hopeful glances as the car climbed the narrow road toward the orphanage. When they arrived, Sister Miriam greeted them with a stiff smile. Her hands trembled as she led them down the long, echoing hallway. "He doesn't sleep," she said softly, as if the walls might hear her. "He never has. Not once." Rachel blinked. "What do you mean he doesn't sleep?" Sister Miriam paused in front of a door. "You'll see." They stepped inside. The boy was sitting on a chair, alone. No toys, no books, just him, and the sound of a ticking clock on the wall. His name was Daniel. He looked 6, maybe 7, dark hair, pale skin, wide brown eyes that didn't blink. Not once, while they stood there. Rachel knelt down. "Hi, Daniel," she whispered. "We came to take you home." He tilted his head slightly, didn't smile, didn't speak, just stared. On the ride back, he sat silently in the back seat, hands folded neatly in his lap, eyes open, watching, always watching. That first night, Rachel peeked in around midnight. Daniel was sitting up in bed, still, awake, eyes fixed on the window. She whispered, "Sweetheart, it's bedtime. You need to try and sleep." He didn't respond, didn't even look at her. She left the door cracked open and went back to their room. "He's probably just scared," Thomas said. "New place, new people." Rachel nodded, but she didn't sleep. By the third night, she was exhausted, and Daniel hadn't closed his eyes once. She started hearing whispers, faint. At first, she thought it was the wind through the vents. Then she realized it was coming from Daniel's room. One night, she walked in slowly. Daniel was sitting in the corner, facing the wall, murmuring something over and over. Rachel stepped closer. His voice was quiet, almost too quiet. "He doesn't like the dark. He doesn't like the dark. He doesn't like the dark." She felt a chill run down her spine. "Daniel, who are you talking to?" He turned his head slowly, his eyes locked onto hers. His mouth stopped moving. But the whispering didn't. It was still in the room, but it wasn't coming from him anymore. It was coming from the walls. That night, Thomas heard something too. A thump, then a dragging sound. He got up, walked into the hallway, and stopped dead in his tracks. Daniel was standing outside their bedroom door, staring. Thomas forced a smile. "Hey, buddy, can't sleep?" Daniel's voice was calm. Too calm. "I told him you close your eyes. He's mad now." "Who's mad?" Daniel smiled, a wide, empty smile. "The man in the wall." The next morning, Max, their dog, refused to go near Daniel. He barked, growled, then hid under the table, whining. Rachel found drawings in Daniel's closet, dozens of them, each one worse than the last. Figures with long fingers, red eyes, dark rooms with no doors, and in every picture, Daniel. Always awake, always watching. One picture made her knees go weak. It was their bedroom. She and Thomas were sleeping, and Daniel was standing over them, eyes wide, smiling. That night, Rachel bolted upright in bed. She didn't know why. No sound, no movement, just a cold feeling in her chest. She turned her head slowly. Daniel was standing at the foot of their bed, whispering to someone who wasn't there. It had been 2 weeks of no sleep, 2 weeks of whispers in the walls, 2 weeks of Daniel, always watching. Rachel had stopped trying to sleep at night. The darkness no longer felt empty. It felt crowded, like something else was in it. breathing with her, watching her. She began locking the bedroom door. Thomas still tried to rationalize everything. The boy's been through trauma, he kept saying. He's acting out. But even he had stopped looking Daniel in the eyes. The boy would sit for hours in the hallway, unmoving, silent. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, they would hear the creak of the floorboards and find him standing at the top of the stairs, head tilted, whispering to something they couldn't see. One evening, Rachel caught him drawing again. He was sitting at the kitchen table, crayons scattered, a thick stack of white paper. But what he was drawing made her blood turn cold. Not monsters, not shadows, blueprints of their house, room by room, each hallway, every wall, and drawn inside the walls, tiny black figures, crawling, waiting. She touched his shoulder gently. "Daniel, what are these?" He didn't look at her. He pressed the black crayon harder into the paper, scribbling over a closet door. "They're tunnels," he whispered. "He uses them when the lights go out." Rachel stepped back. That night, the power went out. A sudden pop, and darkness swallowed the house. Rachel screamed. Thomas grabbed the flashlight. "Stay here," he said. "I'll check the fuse box." But Daniel was already in the hallway, standing there, still, smiling. "He's already inside," he said. "He comes when it's dark. You should have left a light on." Then, the whispers returned. Louder now, all around them. They moved through the walls like wind through broken glass. Rachel grabbed Daniel's arm. "Who is he? Who are you talking about?" Daniel turned his face toward her slowly. "My first friend," he said. "The one who never sleeps. The one who found me first." Then they heard it, a dragging sound, heavy, wet, coming from inside the walls. Thomas returned, pale, shaking. "The fuse box is burned out," he said. "It's melted, like something scorched through it." That night, none of them slept. In the morning, Rachel tried to call the orphanage. No answer. She and Thomas drove back to Hawthorne that afternoon, but it was gone. The building stood, but the windows were boarded. The sign was rusted, falling off the hinges. An old man from across the road watched them from his porch. "Are you looking for the orphanage?" he called out. "That place shut down 12 years ago." Rachel froze. "What?" The man stood, limping toward them. "They closed it after the fire. One of the kids went missing. Never found the body. They say he used to talk to the walls. Said he never slept." She couldn't breathe. "What was his name?" she asked. The old man scratched his beard. Thought for a moment. "Daniel, yeah. Daniel Harper. Weird little thing. Eyes too wide." Rachel turned to Thomas. "I want him out. I want him out of our house." Back home, the silence was unbearable. Daniel was in the living room. He had drawn something new, a picture of Rachel and Thomas. But their eyes were scratched out, and behind them, a shadow. Tall, with long arms that reached from the ceiling to the floor. That night, they decided. Tomorrow, they'd take him somewhere. Anywhere. They packed bags, locked every door, kept the lights on. At 3:13 a.m., Rachel woke up, gasping for air. The lights were off. The flashlight was gone. She reached for Thomas. He wasn't in bed. Her heart pounded. She stepped into the hallway, trembling, breath shallow. Then she heard a voice, Daniel's voice, from behind her. "You took his place," he said softly. "You sleep. He doesn't. So now he wants your eyes." The floor creaked. Behind her, a second voice, deeper, not human. "You closed your eyes." Rachel turned and screamed. The scream tore through the house. And then, silence. Rachel didn't remember running, didn't remember how she got to the basement stairs, but there she was, barefoot, shaking, holding a kitchen knife with blood on the handle. Not hers. She didn't think so. The lights were still out. Only moonlight filtered through the narrow basement window, casting long shadows across the floor. And Daniel was gone. So was Thomas. Her heart slammed against her chest like it wanted to escape. She whispered, "Thomas." Nothing, only the sound of something dripping. Steady. Software. She followed it, slow, 1 foot at a time. Then she saw them. Drawings. Hundreds of them. Taped, pinned, glued to the basement walls. Every one of them showed the same figure. Tall, black, mouth wide open, like it was screaming, but no sound. The figure stood behind Rachel in every picture. In one, its fingers were in her hair. In another, they were around her throat. She turned and ran. Back upstairs, down the hall, into Daniel's room. The window was open, the bed was empty, the closet door was shut. No, not shut. It was breathing. She could see it move, in and out, like lungs. She approached with trembling hands, reaching for the handle. "Don't." The voice was Thomas. He was sitting on the floor, in the corner of the room, pale, eyes blank. She ran to him. "Oh my God, Thomas, what happened?" He didn't look at her. "He showed me," Thomas whispered. "He showed me where he comes from." Rachel gripped his shoulders. "Where is Daniel?" Thomas looked up slowly, eyes glassy. "He's not a boy, not anymore." Then, the closet door creaked open, and Daniel stepped out. His eyes were black, not dark, black. No whites, no iris, just emptiness. And his skin. It wasn't skin anymore. It moved, shifted, like dozens of tiny things were crawling underneath. He smiled. "Hi, Mommy." Rachel backed away, voice trembling. "You're not my son." He giggled. "I never was, but I liked pretending. Pretending is fun." The walls behind him began to move, bulge, pulse. Fingers reached out from the plaster. Dozens of them. Long, too long. Scratching the paint, clawing for purchase. He took another step forward. "I came from underneath," he whispered, "from the place where no one sleeps, where time has teeth." Thomas groaned, clutched his head. Rachel screamed, "Leave us alone." But Daniel, no, the thing wearing Daniel, only tilted its head. "You brought me here. You wanted a child. I just wanted a home." He looked around. "I like this house." Then, the lights flickered. The air turned cold. Bitter, like breathing in ice. From every corner of the room, whispers exploded into a chorus of screaming voices. "You closed your eyes. You closed your eyes. You closed your eyes." Rachel dropped to the floor, covering her ears. And suddenly, there was light. The flashlight. It rolled toward her from the hallway, as if pushed. She grabbed it, turned it on, aimed it at Daniel. He shrieked. The skin on his face cracked, peeled. Smoke rose from his mouth. Thomas stood up. "Light! It hurts him!" Rachel didn't wait. She ran, grabbed every lamp, every bulb, turned on the stove light, the fridge light, anything. Daniel screamed again, his voice no longer human. He began to dissolve, piece by piece, like smoke being sucked into the walls. The shadows pulled back, the air stilled, and then he was gone. Just gone. A silence, thicker than any before, filled the room. Rachel collapsed to her knees. It was over, wasn't it? Days passed. Rachel and Thomas stayed in a hotel, too afraid to go back. But they had to be sure. So one morning, just after sunrise, they returned. The house stood still, quiet. No more whispers, no more drawings, no Daniel. They packed their bags, prepared to sell everything. But before they left, Rachel walked into his room. One last time. The window was open again. The closet door was shut. No breath, no sound. But on the bed, was a drawing. One final picture. A woman and a man, both smiling, holding a baby. But the baby's eyes were pitch black. And underneath the picture, scribbled in crayon, "I miss pretending."